What's good, everybody? It is April 2026, and this is Mike with Beats and Vinyls back at you again with what I picked up for the month. Man, I hope everyone's had a good April so far. I know I have. I actually celebrated my 53rd birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to me and all the fellow Tauruses out there. Yes, I am a Taurus, and I kind of like astrology a little bit. So, but yep, pretty cool birthday. Just hey, happy for another run around the sun. I know my mother and I say, you know, what you want for your birthday? Another one. So, man, but as far as digging this month, man, I found some good things, some really good things. I'm gonna shout out my stores off top. Definitely Noble Records here in Matthews. Another shop, Jam Pack in Monroe, North Carolina, and lastly, Mad Jack Records. Found a couple great things there at some really good prices, man. So we're gonna get on into it and show you what we picked up this month. So let's get it on. All right, first we got Tom Browne, Yours Truly. Now, I actually been kind of getting some Tom Browne. I mean, I got his first record last month. I've had some other records of his for a while. So I've been just kind of layering out his collection. There's a song on here called Charisma, and it's been widely sampled on a lot of hip hop tracks I've been hearing. And I've been wanting the album, and just on a whim, I'm in Mad Jack Records and they had it for a whopping $3, man. So I was happy to find that. So Tom Browne, great trumpet player. All right, Rags to Rufus. Rufus, featuring the great Chaka Khan. This album was the album that kind of put them really into the stratosphere. There was a song on here written by the legendary Stevie Wonder called Tell Me Something Good. There's another song on there written by another legendary artist named Ray Parker Jr. along with Chaka Khan called You Got the Love. But I remember my mother and my father had this record when I was really little, and they would play this thing to death. So to be able to find it in some real good condition for $3, hey, I got it. Oh yeah, this bad boy right here, the late great Willie Hutch, the soundtrack to the movie Foxy Brown. You know, I am a huge blaxploitation film person, so I love Shaft, Superfly, even some of the lesser known ones like Trouble Man, Black Dynamite, not Black Dynamite. I'm about to say Black. I'm thinking about the other movie, not Black Dynamite, but Black Belt Jones with the great Jim Kelly. But this is a soundtrack that's been kind of eluding me. And I got it at a very good price. I was at Mad Jack, got it for 20. But I've seen this thing anywhere from 60 to 80 to 100. It's very pricey. And again, I'm not somebody that's really hung up on trying to get original pressings. I really could care less about that. I just want the album. But I've been looking for this for a while. So to find this at such a good price, I had to have it. So shout out to Mad Jack for this album. And I haven't had a chance to play it. I literally just got it yesterday. But yeah, this is definitely a keeper for me because I've been wanting this for a while. So Willie Hutch. Another album I've been looking for, the late great George Duke, the Brazilian Love Affair. The story was George he took a trip to Brazil in the early 70s or late 60s, and he absolutely fell in love with it. So when he got time, he went back and recorded this whole album in Brazil. The Brazilian Love Affair is my absolute favorite song on here, but there's another song he's just basically playing the piano called Alone at 6 a.m. But George, man, was just a master at getting in all kind of styles. I think he, along with like Miles Davis, these guys, they did not stay put in anything. They always were pushing the envelope, and George was one of them, man. So this is a very Latin flavored album. You know, it's got a lot of his regular crew on there, but he's got Arieldo and Florida Parim. You know, she's on there singing as well. So I think a great George Duke album that I've been looking to get for a while, and I was glad I found it. All right. The Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, Jump to It. Produced by the legendary Luther Vandross. This album was, and Marcus Miller did a lot of co-writing with Luther on this as well. But this was Aretha's kind of her rebirth, because Aretha was in the 70s. She was, she definitely had her run in the 60s where she was really doing her thing. And then the 70s came, she was still going on. And then she kind of hit a dry patch. She had some records was okay, but when she hooked up with Luther and Marcus Miller, and they did the song Jump to It, it blew up and got Aretha back on the map in the 80s, man. And so this is a great album. I used to have it back in the day, but you know how that goes. You have albums, you kind of lose them over time. So to be able to find this again for $9, I got this at Jam Pack, but be able to find it, good deal. So got it, got to have it. Kashif. Now I already have this record, but the copy that I had, I got it for $1, and it plays like I got it for $1. I found, well, really, it was just kind of by happenstance. I was at Jam Pack digging around, and someone put this in a bin that it shouldn't have been in, and there was no price on it. And Mr. Walt, he just gave me a great deal. He just gave it to me for a couple of dollars. So I took it. But I already have this record. So this is Kashif's first record. Kashif was, an incredible musician, producer. Kashif had a kind of a sound in that early 80s. I'd say from like 82 to about 84, 85. Kashif kind of had himself, and he was working with Kenny G. He was working with a great singer out of Miami named Howard Johnson. He had a song called So Fine. Melba Moore, Evelyn Champagne King. So Kashif was doing this thing, but this was his first record, which I think is very good, man. So I got a good, clean copy of that. Probably the best song on this. I just gotta have you, help yourself to my love is a pretty good song too. So shout out to that. And of course, it's got the hype, the sticker on there, and it's got the original price from back in the day. So this is pretty cool. So glad to find this, man. All right, a record I found in a dollar bin. George Benson and Earl Klugh. This album came out in about 87, I want to say, and it's a good smooth. I don't really care for the term smooth jazz, but it's a very good jazz album of basically George and Earl playing guitar. George is definitely an electric guitarist. Earl is acoustic, and they had some good stuff on here. It was produced a lot by Tommy LaPuma, but the real underlying arranging was the Marcus Miller. I can hear him all through it, but there's some good stuff on here. And I remember having this CD, and I remember my dad having this record back in the 80s, and he would play it a lot. This is a good, like, if I'm just chilling around the house on a Sunday and I just want to play something smooth, this would probably be a go-to. So George Benson, Earl Klugh, album called Collaboration. Going to the illustrious Laws family, Hubert Laws family. Hubert is the flautist out of the Laws family. You got Ronnie Laws, who plays soprano sax and whatnot. But this is an album that came out, I think, in '80, and it's got some, it's got some kind of punch to it. It's not bad. The lead song Family is just pretty good. The bass is being played by the great Nathan East. But it's a solid album. I wouldn't say it's got some kind of cinematic type of stuff on it. They got bolero on it, and so it's a good blend. It's not bad. But again, I wanted to get some more Hubert Laws stuff in my collection, so I got this. All right. Chic. All right. Risque. This was the album who has the ultimate kickoff to hip hop, or what we would consider modern commercial hip hop with Good Times. So that's this. It was on this album here. Chic was one of the driving forces to what we consider the disco music era. I wouldn't say that they created it, but you have to go back to the Gamble and Huffs and Earl Young, in the early 70s. That kind of put that whole four on the floor, that whole push movement. But Chic definitely took it to another level, and they brought in the strings and got Bernard Edwards on that bass, Nile Rodgers on the guitar, so Chic was definitely revolutionary, and they had an incredible run. But this album was very good, and I think Dancing's on here too. I love that song myself, so I was happy to find this for a couple dollars. This was just for grins because I saw it for $3, but it's Henry Mancini, Pink Panther soundtrack. And I remember being very little, I would see the Pink Panther cartoon, and I would always love that theme song. So I just wanted to pick it up for a couple dollars, man. So I don't know, I'm intrigued by stuff like this, but yeah, Henry Mancini is a genius composer. He's done everything from Pink Panther to all my Gen Xers, people who, 70s kids, 80s kids, the theme song to What's Happening. Henry Mancini wrote that theme. Ain't that wild? So Henry Mancini, Pink Panther. Tubular Bells. I don't know what made me pick this up, but it was 99 cents. But every time I would go out digging, I would always run across this thing. And I just played it when I went to the record store, just to see what is the note, what is it? And it was just interesting. I don't know if it's what it really is. It was just kind of an interesting thing to pick up. So it just seems like a guy who's just kind of playing all the instruments, Mike Oldfield. So I need to just do a little bit more research on it, but for 99 cents, I didn't feel like I got gypped or anything, so I picked it up. All right, Andraé Crouch, legendary gospel singer and composer. I think this is his first record, I believe, called Just Andre. And it's, from what I've listened to it, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. He's got, I guess that's him and maybe a sister or family member. I'm assuming a sister, but it's got some good songs on it. It's definitely early 70s because it's got that 70s kind of vibe to it, but it's not bad. So got it for 99 cents. So wasn't mad at this at all. So I'll keep this in the rotation. This is probably the first gospel thing I've brought in a long time. So this was kind of cool to find. And he didn't even have a beard, so you know how old this is. And because the later records, Andre always had a full beard. So this is with him without a beard. So 99 cents. All right. The great saxophonist Lou Donaldson, Signifying, got that for a whole $1. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so I'll hope the condition is okay. But for $1, I'm not going to be picky. There's no inner sleeve in it, but it looks to be in somewhat decent condition. This just needs to be cleaned. So we'll give this a whirl. But all right, Lou. All right, the great Donald Byrd, Best. Again, this was a record I picked up for $1. And the reason why I picked up, I don't have the song on here was not rock and roll, it was Sky High. I know that's on one of the older albums that I don't have. So I got it on this right here. But when I was looking around in the jacket, I actually got 2 albums in here. It's the Best album, and it's another Donald Byrd album called Stepping Into Tomorrow. I already have that record, but I like that record though. That record has Think Twice on it, Stepping Into Tomorrow. Those are some good Donald Byrd songs. So I got a 2 for 1. So I'm not mad at that at all. So that's why I kept it. And I say, well, I paid a dollar for it. Hey, I got double for my trouble, man. So I love it. Donald Byrd. All right, the Awesome Jones Girls. This was let's get as much as you can. My dad had this album actually. The best song on here, and the song that they're probably more known for, is Nights Over Egypt, written by the great Dexter Wenzel of all that Philly soul fame. Definitely something I've been looking for. And the Jones Girls were one of those girl groups that kind of got mixed in the mix, got lost in the mix with the other groups, such as like you had like the Supremes for a minute, and then you had like the Jones Girls. You had the 3 Degrees out of Philly as well. You know, then you had the Emotions, and so the Jones Girls had that flavor, and they was all locked in with Philly. You know, the Gamble and Huff and those folks. So I think they found their way, but they really should have been probably further along, my opinion, than where they were. But I think this is a great album. I was glad to find it for a few bucks. So for $3. Lionel Richie. Yep, this was his first record after he left the Commodores. And ironically, I just finished his book. I got it from the library and I read it. And this was the album that he came up with when he left the Commodores. So he was, you know, ready to explore his own thing. And he was really being kind of pushed by the label and other folks to kind of do his own thing, because, you know, when he was with the Commodores, he was doing a good bulk of writing, a good bulk of the singing. So it's like, you're already more or less solo, you know, why not just go ahead and put out your own album? And he reluctantly went ahead and did it, and he saw the advantages of doing it by himself or going on his own, so he went. So Lionel Richie, self-titled, probably the biggest song in there. You Are, Truly, you know, just some good stuff. I have the second, I like the second solo album better than this one, but this is cool. I'm glad I found it. All right, the legendary Eddie Kendricks. Yes, sir. This was self-titled, probably I think this was the second album after he left the Temptations. Probably the best or the most notable song is Keep on Truckin'. You know, I think Where Do You Go? I like that song myself, but Keep on Truckin' was probably the mainstay on here. That was the anthem to get out and dance, you know, pre-disco. There's a song by the Lost Boys that samples this. That sample Keep on Truckin', kind of the breakdown. You know, you kind of hear that now, even now when you go to the parties or clubs, they still play that. So Eddie Kendricks, man, one of the great vocalists in that Temptations lineup, you know, as they had their own variations and rotations of people coming in and out of the group. Eddie was one of those, when you hear certain songs like I can tell by the, you know, the way you do your things you do, that Eddie Kendricks, man, that voice is just recognizable. So glad to get this. All right, Lakeside, Dayton, Ohio, Stand Up. I grew up outside of Dayton, a little town called Yellow Springs, and Dayton, Ohio, man, just was a hotbed for funk. And Lakeside was one of those groups that came out of the Dayton, Ohio area. And this was probably one of the album that kind of kicked off their momentum, because they had been making records for a minute, but this came out around 80, I want to say. Yep, 1980. But Fantastic Voyage. And I want to say Lakeside was named after a housing, it wasn't a project, it was a housing area in Dayton called Lakeside. And that's what they named the group after. But ironically, they had to go all the way out to Los Angeles to kind of get, you know, their foot in the door and get some type of momentum. But this album, though, was the one that started it all. So when Lakeside was making all those jams, this was the first one that kicked it off. But Fantastic Voyage, you know, Your Love Is on the One, that's another one, good one too. Just some great funk, early 80s funk, man. Lakeside, Dayton, Ohio zone. So shout out to that. All right, back to the great George Duke, Feel. Man, this is one of those, and I believe this is a reprint. I don't think this is the original album. But this is when George was just getting into singing. He didn't sing a lot. He was playing with Frank Zappa. He was kind of in that space, but he was starting to sing. So there's a song on there called Feel, and he's actually the first time he's really doing it. So this came out in 1974. I guess you can kind of see him sitting behind the control panel. He's playing all the keys. He's in Dougal Chancellor, John Hurd, Ariel Flora Purim, sorry. Again, singing with him. You know, I'm just a huge George Duke fan. And, you know, outside of Herbie Hancock, he was really doing a lot of things with synthesizers and electric music that no one else was doing. And he just had such a soulful way of playing it. The way that his Rhodes sounded was just different from anybody else, different from Herbie, different from Chick Corea. It was just different. So, you know, I love the album that him and Billy Cobham did together. They were live. That album was pretty cool. But George Duke, Feel, got it at, I believe I got this at Noble Records. So shout out to Noble. This one's on Odds and Ends. Bob James, hands down. You can see he's got like a kind of an x-ray of his hands. And I think this came out in probably the mid 80s. I think Bob was starting to get into, he was really using a lot of electronic instruments, a lot of electronic, you know, drum programming, and, you know, it was definitely 80s. I would not say this is Bob's best album. You know, it's okay. It's okay. You know, it's one of those things where I wanted to just get it to, again, build out my collection with Bob. But probably the most notable song is Shambuzi. Shambuzi was sampled by Rakim, and it's called, what was that? It's been a long time. No, it's not been a long time. It's escaping right now, but Rakim sampled it for one of his songs. So, good one right here. Oh, it's okay. All right, Tom Brown. Now, I mentioned Tom Brown earlier. The album that I thought that the sample song that they're playing now I thought it was on this one, but it wasn't. But, so it looked like he put out 2 albums at the same time in 1981. I think the Funkin' for Jamaica came out, and I think the record company really wanted to kind of capitalize on the motion. So he put out a couple more records. The song on here that's probably the real catcher is Thighs High. It's a real funky type of song. And he's got Marcus Miller on there again, the late great Bernard Wright, you know. So Tom Brown was one of those guys that came out in that late 70s, 80s playing that trumpet, and it was a time, man. It was a time. It wasn't so much smooth jazz, but it was a moment where you had that Dave Grusom and all his production work was kind of coming through. So able to get this for, I believe I paid a few dollars for this, and I got this at 2nd and Charles. This wasn't even a normal, my normal spot. So 2nd and Charles. Oh yeah, the Godfather of Soul, James Brown, Hell. This most notably has Papa Don't Take No Mess. Now, this is an album that I don't see a lot in the wild. And if I do see it, it ain't cheap. Not at all. I got this for a whopping 20 bucks at a Jam Pack. And it sounds great. I've been able to play it. You know, it was James kind of at that 70s period. You know, he was doing his thing. Not so much, it was still soulful, still funky. He still had Fred Wesley with him, you know. I love looking at Soul Train. I go and look at the old times where he was on there, and he would have like a whole live band, because, you know, usually with Soul Train, they would just have the band's lip sync or pantomime to the music. Only a few people came on Soul Train and did live shows, and James was one of them. He'd have his band on there, man, and they would tear it down. They would tear it down, man. But James Brown, hell, man, I'm glad I found this one. And all right, man, last but never least, the one and only Bobby Brown. Man, Don't Be Cruel. I can remember being a teenager in 1988 when this thing dropped, and when the Don't Be Cruel came on, there was like a little interlude that started, and like this little real voices singing, and it just lets you know this record was coming out. And man, the weirdest thing, I have not been able to find this record, you know, like within reason, less than 30 bucks. Less than 30. I mean, every time I would see it, it was $35, $40. It was like, why do they want so much for this album? And I got it for a whopping $9 at Jam Pack Records. So I have Guy, but the only thing that I really want to get, I want to get the new edition Any Heartbreak album. And I think I'll find it at some point. I don't want to pay an arm and a leg for it, but I'm gonna get it at some point. But it just Bobby was the consummate performer. You know, he had solid vocals. I wouldn't say Bobby had the best vocals, but he had solid vocals. But Bobby was an entertainer. You know, he could move. He definitely had the move. He had the presence. He had that factor. You know, don't get it twisted. I know people look at Bobby now and he's put on weight. He's not. But when Bobby was on top of his game, there was no one close other than maybe Michael, and that's it. That's it. You know, I mean, this brother had it. He had it all, man. So I was happy to find this thing for $9 at Jam Pack Records, man. So that's what I got, man. This thing went long. Jeez, I didn't know I was gonna be speaking that long, but hey, thank y'all for kicking it with me, man. This is the month of April, and we'll be back at it again for May. Just want to say, whatever you got going on, take care of yourself. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. I got my Facebook channel and my Instagram channel, Beats and Vinyl, and my government name, Michael Bowie, at Facebook. It has been growing rapidly. If you're here from that, thank you for coming. Please like, share, subscribe. Please grow this one as well, because I can really engage and get into long-term conversations with you. But I can't say anything but thank you. If you've been on my page and you looked at these reels, you've commented on them, you said anything about it, you shared it with people, I humbly thank you. I can't tell you how much I thank you. This is a project of God. That's all, and I'm not trying to get hokey with anyone, but I said, God, I want to just be able to talk about my music and impact people. And no sooner than I said that, I had a reel that went viral. And then I had another one that went viral. And now the views are really ticking up. So check me out on my Instagram. I got my link in my description, especially with Facebook as well. And hey, I want to get this channel on that level as my Facebook and Instagram stuff. So I want to get this thing to 1,000 subscribers. I want to get it large, man. I got dreams and ideas on where I can really travel and do certain things and be on the road and really make this a big part of my life. But at any rate, I just thank you for being here and listen to what I have to say. And I know the thing is called Beats and Vinyls. I have not forgot about making beats. I still make them. But I've been so kind of enraptured with the other videos going viral. I've been almost a little nervous about putting stuff out, but that ain't gonna be long. That ain't gonna be long. I will put something out, and I will just start feeding this ecosystem, man. But this is nothing but God's work. It is. And if you got something that you want to do, go to the Most High. Go to the Most High and say, this is what I want to do. And I'm telling you, it'll open up for you. It'll open up. He says, write the vision and make it plain. He'll open it up for you. So with that note, man, I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me, hanging with me. And we'll get back soon. I'll probably do some type of other intermediary thing before the end of before the end of May, but I'll still be digging and looking for things. So at that rate, have a happy day, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.